I tell you, there was this a young Romanian girl who approached me in a small rundown village at the base of the Carpathian Mountains, and she beckoned to me closer, and I leaned in and she whispered, she goes to me, right, she goes, "Now you die, old fool," and she bared her fangs. Now, I had stumbled into a bleeding vampire's nest, so I dodged out of her grasp as more vampires descended upon me, and I said, "Suck on this," as I drew me crossbow and I fired repeatedly, and about 12 vampires died that night, and I didn't even break a sweat. And that's the story about why you should always wipe front to back. Today on Sexy Beasts, we're talking vampiros. That's Spanish for vampire.
Oh, you got that sexy beast. You're just so sexy. Are you a Loch Ness monster? Or are you Bigfoot, cryptid, supernatural vampires, banshees, Tony and Jago? Oops, there's a Wendigo. Hey, coming after me. Who the fuck said you could laugh at me, smack with me? With a Bigfoot dick you could slap with me? Blasphemy. You could dare come at me with a Bigfoot dick and a Loch Ness monster pussy? Bay sexy beast.
Hello, governor. Or should I say... Welcome to Sexy Beasts.
This amount of spit is sprayed across the studio.
Mm-hmm. That's why they have these little microphone lids. Welcome to Sexy Beasts, your foray into the menagerie of the unexplained. Every single episode, we look at a specific creature, cryptid, or monster. We discuss its history, its merits, and using our patented FEC analysis, we rate and review the beast against other creatures in the Premier Crypt. So we end up with a total leaderboard that's kind of like this audio version cryptid. Top trumps is the kind of thing we're going for. And be sure to listen all the way to the end, because we're going to be closing out the show with Freak Encounters, where we read your submitted stories from time that you met something weird. Hopefully this week a vampire. Probably not. I did have a look. I am Tony Countwell, winner of Ghoul.ie's most biteable neck. And the funny thing about my neck is it's located on my cock. And my co-host, as always, the Egypt from the Twat Lagoon. That's what I call his mother's vagina, Mark Jago.
Whoa.
There you go. Hi.
Hey. Whoa, that one took me a while to comprehend, but yeah, I got it.
You are the Egypt from the Twat Lagoon.
I can't wait for my mom to hear that one, and she'd be like, "That Tony's a bad influence on you."
I don't like that Tony. Where's your mom from again?
Dunnycarney.
Okay, yeah.
No, that's that adds up. Yeah, vampires.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
As they say, no, I keep doing as they say in Vampire. I'm very excited, but Jago, do you know what? We've been stung by these big lads before, and by stung, should I say bitten on the neck twice with two little dots, because when we get something big like this, a lot of the time
it's overload
on over it, and we don't have enough. We actually run out of things to say because we're so into it.
Yeah, and so I took special precautions this time. I'm wearing a condom, flaccid,
on all of my fingers,
and
as I have my laptop here.
As I'm typing along. No, I took special precautions. So I looked at things that wouldn't be as widely known about these sort of things. I was going to look up just the sort of 18th century Dracula sort of buzz, and then I was like, it's such a huge mythology, why not dive deeper?
Well, this is the thing, because I know my periphery of vampires, I know my pop culture vampires, and you know what, growing up as a kid, I would say, if they were to do like a pie chart of my brain, I'd say 45% of it would be vampires.
Here's a little Jago fact for you. I was convinced at some age, I just remember thinking back and being like, I was such a weird kid, that I was a vampire. No, like, I hated blood. I passed out anytime I got my blood tests taken or anything like that. But I was
Sorry, you were convinced you were a vampire?
Yeah. I don't know, I think I remember watching something really young and just be like, yeah, that's me, man. Can't wait for that.
Well, I know.
And then I became an emo, so sort of 50-50. You know?
But that was the thing. Why did it appeal so much? Was it the fact that they were cool because they were emotionless and we were so full of emotions or something like that?
I think it was the ability just to do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. You know, it's the unleashed animalistic nature of humans.
Well, do you know what?
We can keep that for cool.
We'll keep that for cool. We've been talking about vampires here. If you've somehow been in a car accident, if you somehow damaged your brain severely and you, for some reason, you don't know what a vampire is, we do like to explain for anyone what these things are. So, Jago, and the way we do it is Jago's at a party and the only thing he can use to flirt with someone is information about what vampires are. So, hang on, you're at a vampire party.
Oh, Blade, is it? Yeah. So I walk up to a girl in a leather catsuit and I'm like, hey, you want to dance? And I say, or have you heard about vampires?
No.
And or Strigori? Or Vampiro? Well, basically, the vampire is an undead being, a revenant if you must.
Cool.
That absorbs a life force. Can be energy, can be blood, can be sexual fluids that they need to survive. Usually they are still aware of their body, or they're still aware of their abilities. They have mentis compass, as someone said once. I don't know what that means.
So what does it mean?
It means like, so they have mental faculties still intact.
Oh, right.
So they're not like a zombie, so they're not
Yeah.
like based on pure rage.
What's the term again?
A mentis compass.
Love it. I'm yours.
I'm yours. But yeah, so do you want to suck my personality? Because it's 2018 and we ask consent.
Excellent. Even the girls.
Yeah, so that is a very vague and undescriptive term for a vampire, I have to admit.
So I love the fact that you've looked into the energy vampire side of things.
Yeah, so China has a huge thing about these. There's these things called the Changxi, which Chinese are mad for. They're basically called hopping vampires. You might have seen them in some sort of like weird anime or something like that. So they're dressed in traditional garb. They have long things that cover their hands, because that's one sign that they're a vampire. They have really long nails. And they can't walk. They can only hop. But once they get their hands on you, they use their nails to absorb the energy. No blood is drawn, apparently. There's no wounds or anything like that. You just slowly die. It's just some sort of infection or plague.
Interesting.
Yeah, but even going back to Egypt, there was ancient sorcery that says that they could summon wraithful spirits that would possess a body, and the body would arise in a couple of days' time. It was a bit like the mummy, except that it needed. Blood is a relatively new thing in vampires. Life energy or happiness was another huge thing. It was like, yeah, you need to like steal the happiness of someone.
Well, do you know what? This reminds me of what David Icke always says about the global conspiracy. And I have a clip here about him talking about essentially these energy vampires. And give it a little listen here.
These entities do is feed off human energy. And to feed off human energy, they have to pull humans into an energetic state that they can feed off. If you're in a state of harmony, they can't feed off it, because never the twain shall meet vibrationally.
There you go. I also saw another chap saying about energy. I think he was like some, this guy was just a American football coach. But he says, I say to the guys in there, in terms of energy, you're either a fountain or you're a drain. And we only want fountains here.
Oh, I like that.
I like that, don't you?
Yeah, it's good. Like either produce it or suck it.
Yeah, like Andrew's tablets. Suck 'em and see.
Suck 'em and see. Yeah, like most cultures throughout history have some sort of background about vampires. The one that we're most familiar with comes from like southeastern European, like that's the Bram Stoker, the Vlad Tepes, with Vlad the Impaler. Although I found this out the other day, if you go to like Romania and Transylvania and you start talking about Vlad the Impaler, he's like a folk hero. He's like everyone loves him.
That's insane.
He's not associated with vampires at all.
Well, Vlad the Impaler basically, is the big reason that Vlad the Impaler is so associated with vampires is because of Bram Stoker using kind of his name, because he went under the guise Dracula, because his father was Dracul, which was basically the dragon, because he was part of this group called the Legion of Dragon. He was a king, and then his son was called Dracula. But I was looking up, I was Googling the worst things Vlad the Impaler did.
Yeah.
So he was known to have orchestrated the deaths of between 40,000 and 100,000 people during his reign of Transylvania.
Yeah.
So he hanged his victims, stretched them on a rack, burned them at the stake, boiled them alive, but he mostly impaled them from the rectum right the way through. So missing all the vital organs, so it would just stick out of the neck.
So he's still alive.
So he's still alive.
I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true or not, it might be in horrible history books, which is kind of dark for like a kid.
Yeah, kids love that though.
So basically he used to sit them on a spike, but the spike was progressively larger. It was basically like a big giant butt plug. and like they used to put weights on their shoulders, so slowly they'd just fucking split apart.
Fuck me.
And he was like, if you go to Transylvania, you go to Romania, they're like, yeah, man, he fucked the Turks up. Like, yeah, love him.
Well, that's the thing. Apparently a lot of this stemmed from his like lust for blood and all that, because apparently or scholars know it's not a very nice topic, but apparently he was like sodomized and like abused while he was held captive from being a child, the Ottoman.
Because he was the ward of the Ottomans or something like that.
Yeah, kind of a Ramsay Bolton, but not having a sound dad. But this is I read this one as well. He let children be roasted. Their mothers were forced to eat them, and he cut the breasts off women, and their husbands were forced to eat that, and then they were all impaled.
Wow, so keep it light, keep it airy. You know?
But this guy's worse than vampires. But basically, that's where the Vlad the Impaler link is, that he was actually called Dracula, and Bram Stoker thought it was a cool name. But just go back to kind of earlier civilization. You had the Persians even knowing about vampires, about drinking blood. They're even depicted on pottery shards of guys drinking other guys' blood.
In the Buddhist, in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, there is like illustrations or depictions of creatures that they're technically demons, but they've taken on human form. And they see a lot of the stuff before Dracula. They weren't revenants. They weren't like they were alive. They were sort of demons that had taken human form. They were dead. They've taken the body over or something like that. You know? There's a lot of stuff like, and a lot of the stuff is also against whatever religion at the time was most prevalent. So if you go to Russia, apparently if you weren't baptized or you weren't buried in a specific Russian Orthodox way, you would definitely rise as a vampire. So if you need to pay the extra tax to all this crap, and like especially in Romania as well, like a lot of peasants, because they were Romany, they were told, oh, they're all vampires when they die.
So you mentioned the in Romania, we have the kind of moroi and strigoi.
Yeah, strigoi, yeah.
So the strigoi is where we kind of get most of the contemporary vampire myths from. But I have put together a little bit of a stand-up routine for you to be able to tell if you are a strigoi or not. So this is a kind of more Def Comedy Jam sort of routine. But I think it's factual as well as...
Is it live?
No, it's recorded with crowd noises. So
Thank you.
if you're the seventh child of the same sex,
You might be a strigoi.
if you all been living a life of sin, you might be a strigoi. If you committed suicide without being married,
Yeah, okay.
you're a strigoi, alright? If you got red hair,
Yeah, you probably a strigoi.
y'all been cursed by a witch,
Yeah, 100% you're a strigoi.
Thank you. It's the hilarious material there from my new character,
What's his name?
White Man.
White man.
White Man. But yeah, so there's
Not going anywhere with
from
that
the
one.
from the strigoi myth. That's the kind of things that you would become one. Obviously, you can be sired by one, which
Yeah.
I love the verb sire.
Sired.
To be sired.
The sired actually is a relatively new thing that was brought in the 18th century. Before that, they were just, you were either born it. So in Romania, if you were born with a third nipple, you were 100% going to rise when you died. If you were born with a cleft palate, apparently, like, there's no genetic mark for cleft palates because, like, they killed loads when they were a thing.
Oh no!
But also, and so when a baby's born, it can have like an amniotic sac around it or whatever. If the amniotic sac was red, it's supposed to be the devil's like ball sack around you. So they'd
God,
it was devil's testicles. I read it didn't say ball sack, but I did it for comedic effect. But anyway, so
it's a great success.
Great success.
Might be a strigoi.
Strigoi. But yeah, so you're gonna be raised from the dead. So if any of these symbols back in like ancient dark times, they were fucking killed instantly.
Horrible.
Imagine having a third nipple. You're like, ooh, he's a third nipple. All right, fucking kill him.
I'd love to have a third nipple, but my existing two are very sensitive as it stands.
So do you think it would lessen the sensitivity?
I think I'd have to have my
them?
top off the whole time because the feeling
air.
of anything.
But the air against it.
Just don't touch them in a sexy way.
Okay, that's a warning for anyone out there if you're at a live show. Speaking of live show, thanks for everyone who came.
No, thanks everyone who came to the live show. It was so much fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. I was a very sweaty boy on stage. I shouldn't have probably worn that black bag for the whole thing.
Yeah. You didn't need to as well because the kind of the costume joke.
10 seconds.
10 seconds ago, done.
Yeah, so we're getting off track here. So vampires, we have a bit of background on them now, but can they fight?
Can these mofos fling?
Fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll give you a quick rundown of the vampire abilities.
Sure.
Shape shifting, hypnosis, like immunity to most attacks, invulnerability.
Yeah.
Seducing.
Yeah.
Super speed.
Yes.
Super strength.
Fuck.
Can talk to animals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he can like talk to my children of the night. Yeah. So here's an example of an attack. So suppose vampire in the 18th century, everyone attended his funeral, and then apparently he rose the next night and then killed everyone in the village and smashed a barn down to try and get at his ex-wife or his widow.
His widow.
Yeah, because she's died, yeah. So he sexually assaulted his widow then and then disappeared into the night and was found dead later.
Jesus.
Yeah, so that's a bit spooky.
That's very spooky. That's also just, that's like rises and is a different person, but cognizant enough to be just horribly evil.
So like, yeah, apparently he killed a couple of villagers, but then when he got to his wife, he just sexually assaulted her. Like, and he didn't, maybe he still loved her a little bit. There's a little bit of him coming through. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Maybe he still loved her. Yeah.
I meant he didn't kill her.
Yeah. Well, like he only sexually assaulted her. I think he really loved her.
I didn't mean it that way.
Well, you said it, and we got it on recording.
So problematic.
The thing is, though, yeah. So, and then super strength. The strength of 20 men says in Dracula. So that's about 1.5 tons.
So I read something about this. So it depends on how many people the vampire has consumed. So if a newborn vampire would be very weak compared to like an ancient vampire because of the amount of people. So their life energy is propelling them forward.
Right.
So this was like a weird sort of old manuscripty book, and there's like loads of Y's and E's everywhere, like ye oldie vampire.
Love
sucky,
that.
Sucky necky.
Love people. Sucky necky, please. I love seeing a Y for vampire.
Yeah, vampire.
Vampire.
So vampires most of the time look a lot like me and you. I'm more like you than me, with your big long hair, you big freak.
Okay, thank you very much. What about your piercing hypnotic eyes?
Ooh.
Are we about to?
Are we about to flirt? But how do you find a vampire?
Well, they're only out at night.
Yeah.
They're probably quite gaunt. They have fangs.
Yeah.
They're probably attractive.
Or you can do the old Romanian way. Grab a virgin young boy, put him on the back of a virgin stallion, and then walk him around the graveyard. If the horse balks, yeah, not
The
like that. Like,
horse turns into a chicken.
if
It's
the horse
probably a vampire.
It's probably a vampire. At whatever grave it's closest to, whatever it like stumbles or balks, that's a vampire's grave. So you have to dig up the body and kill it again.
So the thing, actually, some of the old. Well, for one, actually, I'm not going to do that. That's very clumsy. I'm not going to walk around saying, "Any virgin boys, please."
I have a virgin horse that was looking to meet you.
Yeah. What are you doing with it? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to a graveyard. It's going to be fine.
No, but some of the so the whole thing of like digging up the bodies, I didn't realize that. I read that the Draugr from Iceland.
Yeah.
So which are very cool and things you might have seen them in Skyrim and God of War.
We might do a whole episode on them because they're sort of different compared to these.
They're a little bit different, but they would have been the first to be so the hysteria in Iceland that these bodies actually would have been dug up, and then the whole idea of being staked is stuck and pinned to the coffin so that they don't get, essentially don't get back up. So some of those kind of tropes that came in. The thing is, though, as good as it is at fighting, it has clear weaknesses.
It has tons of weaknesses. I just want to go back to the fine thing because this one actually made me laugh a bit. So apparently in Russia, the rule is if you see someone you think is a vampire or you suspect is a vampire, if you ask is it a vampire? It has to tell you. It's like a cop. Like, are you a vampire?
And as well, you have to invite it in.
Yeah.
You have to actually invite it in.
So yeah, that's another way. If it can cross your threshold, and also they tend to have mouths full of blood. So if you talk to it, it'll just drip blood constantly. Now,
Can I come in?
Can I come in?
Please.
I'm a vampire. Can I come in? Yeah, of course. So there's a lot of protection. We've talked about this here.
Sure.
So garlic,
Yeah.
wild rose as well. Apparently, that's another one.
Okay, right.
Hawthorn.
But also, like, I mean, you've got garlic in your house.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got garlic. I mean,
Salt as well. Apparently, salt keeps them out. So I think,
anything delicious.
yeah. So here's the one, right? So garlic and mustard seeds keep it out. So you can't be like making a lovely dressing, you know,
Or
a salad,
or a pasta aioli. I mean, that's just garlic and parsley.
Yeah, garlic and parsley.
That's what pasta aioli is.
Is
I saw
it?
it on the video.
Oh no, ruin it. So yeah, house without invitation. If you leave a big bag of sand by someone's grave that you think is a vampire, they have to count how many grains of sand are in that bag. What?
What does that make any sense?
Now this one comes actually from the Chinese Jiangxi. So if you leave a bag of rice or a bag of sand, they it's the same sort of thing. We talked about the kappa. If you throw rice in front of it, has to count every single day.
Oh yeah, like Rain Man.
Yeah, and it can't cross running water as well.
A vampire or
Vampire.
can't cross running water.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's in Dracula.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you're also supposed
Dead
to.
and Loving It or the original?
Oh my god, Dead and Loving It was one of my favorite films ever.
I loved it.
And I
It
remember,
introduced me to boobs.
oh my god, same here. And I remember watching it, and then my mom and dad came in, and they're like, "What are you watching?" And I think it was like Christmas time around that, and I was watching it, and they went into my uncle. It's like, "Oh, Mark's looking at some nudie ladies," and I was like, "Oh, ma!" It wasn't. They weren't nude. They just had heaving bosoms.
Heaving bosoms. Loved it.
Another one is they used to. Well, this isn't really protection, but they used to, if people were scared that someone would become a vampire, used to bury them upside down. So when the vampire would awaken, it would dig down instead of up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
That also comes from, I think, as similarly in Iceland, where in Romania, yeah, where they were digging up the bodies and burying them upside down.
another protection sort of thing from yourself is this one I find pretty funny. So in England, they found a couple of bodies and they were like, "What's going on with the body?" So and then reports came out that they thought they were vampires. So what they did is they cut the head off the vampire, so decapitated the body, and then put the head by the body's arse. So like nose in arse.
Stink face job, Rikishi.
Yeah. So if he woke up, he'd be like, "Oh, fucking that stinks, man," and dies.
And die.
He died, but he obviously died. He got his head cut off.
Okay, so keeping this in mind, so we have all the facts on the table. Okay, fighting should be high.
It should
But
be.
it's so many weaknesses that we would know how to kill it.
But that's the thing. If you drop it into fucking Theatre of Screams against another creature, that creature's not going to have a fucking a punnet of garlic. I don't know how garlic comes. A string of garlic around their neck, you know.
But if you drop it into the Theatre of Screams during the daytime, it'll die
Instantly.
instantly.
Yeah. Can we make exceptions? Because like it's the same sort of thing. Of the Kraken, do we drop it in water or do we drop it in? Because the Kraken outside of water is going to be dangerous, but it'll probably die without hydration. You know what I mean? Yeah, the list for like staking, the main way to kill a vampire, changes per country though.
Okay.
Russia, mouth. You have to stake the mouth. Germany, you have to stake the stomach because that's where the blood goes.
Right.
And Romania, saucy bastard, you have to stake him in the dick.
Stake it in the dick.
Yeah, because that's the source of life.
What about ladies? The pussy.
In the pussy.
Oh no.
Well, no, I didn't read that anywhere, and I'm just making that one up. But
Just for fun.
just for funds.
So yeah, but the thing is, a wooden stake, like, so we've seen Dracula in a million films. We'll talk about more of that we've seen in Cool, but it's always a mortal man who is able just to get wood into the heart, to stake it, or tricks Dracula into opening a fucking curtain.
Yeah.
That was the Christopher Lee. That's how he died. Was like a fucking actual sunlight.
Yeah.
Or the
But it's always like
holy water or a cross.
There's always
Cross.
like cross, yeah. So that's a recent development. That was more Bram Stoker again. Well, good old Bram from Clontarf.
I think he stole that from the Striga,
Really?
the Albanian Striga, because they used to make crosses of bones to scare,
Oh, Jesus,
to scare people away.
way grimmer.
They're probably chicken bones.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, there is a lot of. See, if it was me against it, I could take it.
You would in your fucking hoop.
Yeah, I
be
would.
able to
I
take
would.
this.
I'd take it in my hoop.
You could be dressed. You could be dressed as a Halloween Frenchman. With
Covered in garlic.
you could be dressed as a Catholic Halloween Frenchman and still have the thing fucking kick the shit out of you. You'd probably want that as well. You'd want to be sired.
I would like to be a vampire. If I had to, out of all mythological creatures, I know you choose like the fucking Kraken or something mad.
Nah. I would.
Chupacabra.
I want to be Teen Wolf. I've said it
werewolf.
time and time again. Yeah, but like aware.
You just want to be a teenager.
I just want to be a teen. I just want to fuck. No,
Whoa!
cut that out. Al.
Don't cut that out.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked about fighting for a bit. What you got?
I came in super high.
Yeah.
Part of the reason is
No, I asked you about your score, not your weed habits.
Oh, come on, mate. Very good. No, I came in super high originally, because even the big thing here is we had a debate about this the other time. Like, could we even do vampires on this podcast? Because is vampire not a state of being? Because anything could be essentially become a vampire.
Yeah, from siring,
from being sired. So it could be a state of being a vampire, but a big power that this thing has is the ability to create more of them and kind of more immortal minions. It can hypnotize you while you're awake, and then it can also just raise you from the dead, and then you follow it.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing for me. But there are so many weaknesses, so many noticeable weaknesses for this thing. So I've given it a fighting of 8.
Ooh, I actually have it. I know I was arguing with you, but I gave it fighting of 8 as well.
Boom.
Or fist bumping.
We just touched fingertips there. But is it real?
But what is the evidence, sir? I'm just writing something down.
I mean, I feel like we've kind of done evidence.
We talked so much about it. Yeah, evidence. There's a couple of stories that sort of back up the whole mythos of it and stuff. So in 1672, a guy called Jure Grande. He died while out in a field. A year later, in 1673,
Hear about the Kerry man? He was outstanding in his field. Who won the award? The Kerry man who won.
Sorry to all our Kerry listeners.
Did you hear the Kerry man who won the farming award? He was outstanding in his field.
So this Kerry man died. This Kerry man died.
Ariana
Grande. This Kerry man. We've gone off track so hard.
You have.
What? You're a Kerryman. Kerman. So this guy, Jure Grande, died in 1672, and in 1673 he turned up at his wife's house. The villagers were obviously freaked out by the fact that he turned up and tried to attack him.
Come on.
He ended up killing a few villagers and then just died of, they think it was heart attack or sunlight, but he didn't burn up, obviously. He just died on the spot.
Shit. So I can picture, like, he arrives, they come back at him, and he's like, no, not today, mate.
Blade.
And this is like old boy. It's like a little short, in the hallway, and he's like, nah, and knife in the stomach, lifting it up, cutting heads off.
You're way too into this.
Yeah, I am. Jure Grande.
And then another guy, Peter Blagovich.
Any relation?
No. Died.
It's a combination of Blade and Jago.
He died when he was 62. And same thing.
Stop trying to make me feel bad.
Why?
Because you're like, listen, he died.
He died when he was 62.
Yeah.
Came back when he was a year later. Again, same sort of scenario. I don't know what's a year. He ran to his son. He asked his son for food. His son turned him down. Then the son was found dead the next day.
Shit.
But the body was never
turned him down
for food because he thought he was a vampire.
Do you know what? I feel like is there like a disconnection with the spiritual realm or religion now, where maybe in the past, like if someone were to come back, you're like, this is wrong. We know that they've gone somewhere else. We know that there's an afterlife. There's a confidence in that. Like if someone came back from the dead now, would we not be delighted?
Yeah, but we try and what we do is we try and use science to try and explain it. Like,
but what if there was no explanation? I mean, people's heartbeats have come back. People have been, considered dead and then been knocking on a coffin and pulling a bell. Yeah.
Well,
this is just two examples.
No, but like there are two examples to it. If someone you knew that was you 100% died, and you were like, I watched him die, and they turned up at your door again, that would be fucking alarm bells for me. Even now in this, I'm a fucking completely secular, no religion in me whatsoever. You could try and milk me all you want, no religion's coming out. Blasphemy. But I'd freak out. I'd be like, no, you're not coming to my gaff. Even if it's like someone like really close to me, like a granddad who died or something, I'd be like, no, you're not coming to my gaff. Are you saying that someone you know that you 100% know died and came out and knocked on the door, and it was like someone like granddad, a family member, and you're like, hey Tony, it's me. You haven't seen me in a couple of years. I know you thought I died, but here's what actually happened.
I'd be delighted.
I don't know,
but like, why? So you either assume that you were wrong about them dying and that your eyes deceived you, or you think, no, they did die, they're back for some evil reason, or they are some sort of body snatcher situation. What's more plausible? That you got it wrong, or that they've come back with evil intentions?
Evil intentions.
No.
100%.
That doesn't make any sense.
Sometimes I throw rubbish away, and if that ever comes back near me, that's evil. It's evil rubbish.
I once had a teddy bear, right? And I threw it out of my car window when I was like 4.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad giving out to be like, "Why are you doing that?" And we kept driving, like then I, really fast road, threw it out. When he opened the boot, the teddy bear was in the boot.
Fuck, that's a fucking freaking counter. Why have you never told me that?
I don't know, it's not that weird.
That is weird. How did it end up there? Did it like blow back? The wind blow back into the
boot was closed. You're just getting a bag out and the teddy bear was in there.
So yeah.
Or had two.
Yeah, because your dad had bought one and be like, oh look, here's the teddy bear.
No, I don't think so, because I had it for ages and it was like a proper Buster Bunny from Tiny Toons.
That happens to me a lot sometimes. I think I throw something out and then it's always back. It's always like an empty yogurt carton or something. Maybe I'm haunted by an empty yogurt carton.
With the little tinfoil cape. With a little tinfoil lid as a cape.
Little tinfoil teeth. So evidence, yeah. So in 1970, a group of people reported a vampire in Highgate Cemetery that attacked loads of people. No deaths were confirmed. But it started a huge trend where loads of people tried to find this vampire in 1970. And in 2005... in Birmingham, a vampire apparently attacked loads of people, 5 people in that town.
Oh shit!
Yeah, nobody died or was injured, but they claimed.
But how did they quantify it have been a vampire?
They tried to bite their neck, and they disappeared in a puff of bats. No, the last part I made up. A puff of bats.
Puff of bats. A murder of crows.
A murder of crows.
And a puff of bats.
Now, let's play devil's advocate, because you know how I love saying that. So what are the explanations for people believing in vampires? Now, back in the old days, in the 18th century and stuff, people didn't really have a good understanding of what decomposition was. So in the colder months, obviously, the bodies wouldn't decompose as fast as that. So they used to find, and there was some sort of movement in this or whatever, like the water table rose and the graves burst out of the ground, and they looked at it and they were fully still, they weren't skeletons, and they used to be like, oh, that was definitely a vampire, and stuff like that. There's also contagions. So diseases like tuberculosis causes sometimes a lot of fluid to build up in the lungs, and blood will come out of the mouth. Another one, which this kind of, I've never heard about this before. It was called porphyria, and apparently it makes you crave iron. So people have been known to ingest a large amount of iron. Like when you have porphyria, it's a blood disorder, and the iron sort of leaks out of your blood. And you, a doctor or something's gonna listen to this and be like, oh, he's talking out his arse. But
no doctors listen to this.
A porphyria. So apparently porphyria, the cure for porphyria is you do loads of blood transfusions.
Right.
So the person craves blood, and they can lead to people, like there is stories of people eating lots of raw meat to try and curtail this craving. So maybe that was brought about that. Another one is rabies. Okay, rabies. A lot of symptoms about rabies. Scared of water, which would cause it. Hypersexuality is another rabies thing, and this is a rumor, but it's not been confirmed. People with rabies and who in the later stages can't look at themselves in mirrors because they disassociate themselves from what they're seeing, so they think it's someone else, and they start to freak out. A bit like if you see a cat in a window or a cat in a mirror and it starts attacking itself.
Yeah.
Another one is hypersensitivity to light, and obviously with rabies, bite. Obviously there's creatures that have.
So they would have seen, potentially something that bites someone, go a bit fucking mad.
Yeah.
You know, a dog gets bitten, goes mad, bites a human who goes a bit mad,
and then
can't look himself in the mirror anymore.
And then they're like, that's a vampiro.
This person who was a real nerd and had glasses with sellotape in the middle, all of a sudden becomes really sexy.
Real sexy.
Is all noshing on all the bosoms.
Noshing on the bosoms.
Noshing on the bosoms.
Is this your erotica you're writing for your vampire?
I do like to write erotica. People don't know that about me, but I do try. And I haven't done a vampire one yet, but I will.
Oh, you have to release that. Put it self-published on Amazon.
I will. They're not cryptid. They're just sometimes they take place in Viking.
I put my fake teeth in and I noshed on her bosom.
And I noshed on her bosom, and it was absolutely brilliant.
Right, we've gone off track here.
We haven't gone off track, but listen, one thing as well in terms of evidence. Okay, what is the minimum requirement for you to quantify that a vampire exists?
Okay, it has to.
We've covered a wide swath here.
It has to have some sort of symbiotic or relationship. It has to be able to drink blood or take some sort of energy from someone or something like that. It also has to be somewhat dead. Like, I'd be dead at one point.
Right. Yeah. Crucial, yeah. Yeah, okay. Because you know the way they have, like, old men now are getting a lot of blood transfusions from young guys.
Oh, yeah, and they're doing that blood thing where they take it out of your body and put it on your face. See that?
They do it everywhere.
Vampire facial.
No, they do it, like, so... And there's even, like, people... like young guys who are hired just to kind of sit there, play video games, give blood transfusions, maybe even do VR. And if you can imagine this, right, a guy doing VR, doing a blood transfusion for an old man, you know, basically giving away his essence while he's in a fucking other world. Is that not the Matrix? Is that not the Matrix where he's living in another world by being? Did he get
bought Red Dead Redemption 2 for free?
I would fucking.
I would give you all me blood.
Oh fucking! I'll have played it for a whole weekend. Well, not a whole weekend, for at least a full day by this time.
Yeah, we should start a gaming podcast.
Sure, once we get to 15, we have our top trumps. We'll
our millions. Anyway,
I want to play one last thing in terms of evidence, because in terms of vampires and bloodlines, this isn't evidence. This is just Alex Jones giving out about vampires.
The global elite, the most powerful families ruling our world, dine on human flesh, have attendants that wipe their butts, bathe in blood, and are setting up a global parasitic economy and forced abortions and absolute evil. So you might as well listen to Count Dracula. There's a report on this today out of the Daily Mail and a bunch of other newspapers. Blue Bloods, Prince Charles joins campaign to save Transylvania forest because of his family connections to Count Dracula.
What do you make of that?
He talks so much shite, like
he does.
I'm going to give him a fucking wet wipe for his mouth because so much shite comes out of it.
Well, you shouldn't do that, because a friend of Jordan's kept wiping their arse with those wet wipes and burned it from alcohol poisoning.
Alcohol poisoning arse. That actually reminded me of something there. I just had to look it up there. So,
just on that is basically a link to a conspiracy that there is a global elite and they are either energy vampires in some capacity. So the idea that we see everything like billboards making you afraid and Fox News making you scared and selling you sex that you're not good enough is to put you in a low emotional state so that they can feed off that in some capacity, is the global elite conspiracy. Continue.
So sorry, he said bathe in blood, and I was like, got my synapses clicking, and I was like, Elizabeth Bathory. So she was Bathory. Yeah, did you hear about her?
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
a
From
Hungarian.
Cruelty and the Beast.
Yeah, she's a Hungarian. For people who don't know, she was a Hungarian noblewoman who was a convicted serial killer, and apparently she bathed in blood. And do you ever see what her crest looks like?
No.
It's a dragon being bitten by vampire fangs.
Oh, unreal.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking metal.
I mean, she's fairly fucked up.
Yeah.
Julie Delpy played her in a film where she actually, I think she directed herself.
Yeah, but like she was brought to prison. She was like the amount of times she was killed, or the amount of times she said that she'd killed the people and stuff like that. I'm trying to look at how she eventually died. Yeah, they threw her into a fucking empty grave, so no one would know where she was buried. But is she buried?
Oh,
who knows?
And I recommend listening to "Cruelty and the Beast" album by Cradle of Filth. That's all about Elizabeth Bathory.
Okay,
okay, evidence. Despite all of that, I mean, the main thing is just the fact that you've got Albania, Iceland, Romania, China. You've got all over the world that stem from this idea that something can rise from the dead and steal life force.
I think it is a bit too widespread to be like, it's not laser focused. It doesn't. Yeah, no. I give it 7.
I give it a 7.
Ooh,
okay.
8 and a 7. So next up,
is this thing? This thing's kind of lame, but I don't know. People think this thing is cool. Ah, Jesus Christ!
my head.
Cool, baby. Okay, no fucking about. This thing's the coolest fucking thing
It
going.
is the coolest thing.
It's the coolest term. Yeah.
You should change. So cool. Like, you cannot go 1 year without like a really cool vampire media thing coming out.
I mean, Buffy, Lost Boys, the origin of cinema itself in terms of Nosferatu.
Count Orlok fucking on a t-shirt.
Fucking Bela Lugosi, Dracula. Dracula is a character that is featured in, actually is the most featured character in cinema next to Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, really?
And considering that Dracula has one story and Sherlock Holmes has,
maybe they should do
4 or whatever.
like a versus Sherlock Holmes versus Dracula. Look that up there.
Sherlock Holmes would, I prefer Dracula, but Sherlock Holmes, he has too many weaknesses.
Fuck him up.
He'd be like, the art of deduction has brought you here to this garlic farm.
It's like, come closer to me in the sunlight lounge that I've created. Yeah, like, recently it has lost a little bit of sparkle for me, and I said sparkle on purpose. Twilight, it's sort of moved into the young adult realm of things, and it's lost a little bit its sheen.
They were not vampires. The fact that they could sparkle during the day, that they could go out during the day, there's a burden. Like, there's a burden where you have to watch your friends die. You can't go out during the day. You live in darkness. You're fucking...
Thirst for blood.
What
do they eat? I've never actually seen a movie or read the book.
They have, like, fridges full of butcher blood that they have.
Of, like, animals?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no, it has to be. It's one of the coolest cryptids. It is. I don't know what it is. It's just like... It oozes of sexuality as well.
It does. It's like... I mean, consider like a Superman, a Superman who is not a big blue Boy Scout, but is super strength, can fly, looks cool and gothy, which is something that appeals to me. Cool fangs. I also just want fangs.
Yeah, you're not far off with those snaggle teeth.
And now I tried to open too many bottles of beer growing up, and they're genuinely dull.
But
this crosses every medium. You've got Castlevania, one of the most iconic games of all time. You've got The Count from fucking Sesame Street.
Songs. You have the whole album by My Chemical Romance based on vampires.
Oh, such a good album.
Yeah, such a good album.
You've got
Morbius comics.
Morbius, yeah,
coming out soon with Jared Leto.
Blade,
yeah.
You've got role-playing games, Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah,
you've got the wrestler Gangrel,
who was an actual vampire.
Vampire.
Evidence 10 actually, because
Gangrel was there. He used to spit blood, not swallow it, which is weird.
Yeah, because
for a vampire.
Waste of food.
I don't have anything in terms of a piece of media to convince you otherwise, but I think this is the fucking coolest thing.
I don't think you really need anything in this because we've gone on a long time about it, but like it is cool. There's nothing to convince me about.
Okay.
It's going to be the coolest. Like who's going to be the coolest? Kraken?
Nope.
Vampire?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, yes. Sorry. I gave it a cool of 10.
I gave it a cool of 10.
Yes. Right, so
Quick.
totting up those numbers.
Quick, fast, how I like it.
Okay, quick, fast, how you like it. Oh. It's got a total score of 25.
Oh, where's that put it?
Very interesting. Number 1, Bigfoot, 28 points. Beast of Gavudon, number 2, 27 points. The Kraken, 26, shared with the Yeti, a joint 3rd place. And in joint 4th place with the Nandi Bear
Whoa.
is a vampire.
I love this.
Very interesting.
I don't know. I think this should got a bit better. We're not going to change it because we did it last time.
The thing is, these kind of weird, I don't know if ethereal is the word, but we use it all the time.
Yeah,
One's
ephemeral.
Ephemeral is the word. Just cannot make the cut when it comes to evidence.
Yeah, it's just like it's a lot of sightings and not a lot of.
But they can make up for it in the cool. I don't think we should have we gave the Yeti a cool of 10. And that's higher than.
I think that's because we were so hungover, we just wanted to get over and done with it.
We gave Bigfoot a cool of 8. Under duress, of course, from the crowd.
Oh, yeah. The gorgeous crowd.
Gorgeous crowd. Right, well, there you have it. There are the final scores. 25 in joint 4th place. Thank you very much, Vampire. And we wish you well.
Freaking counter.
Time for a sexy little ditty we call Freaking Counters. Jesus Christ.
My head.
Freak encounters.
Oh, brilliant. Let's wait for the drop. Hiya, me again. Mentioned the podcast and the Freak Encounters to my man. She told me to send this one on behalf of my auntie. Thanks, Laura. Herself and her husband were house hunting in the early 90s when my cousin was only 3. They ended up coming to an agreement with an old man from the area who said if they gave him a small down payment and then paid him rent, in quotation marks, monthly until he passed away, the house was theirs. It was all made official and they moved in, paid the rent for a couple of months, and the man suddenly passed away and the house was theirs. Everything was fine until one day my cousin was standing on the landing and said, "Ma'am, there's a man looking at me from the attic and he's so angry with us." My auntie was freaked. And then he continued, Oh, ma'am, he's crawling from the attic now. He's an old man." This went on for a while until my auntie had enough and called a priest who blessed the house. And it never happened again. Fuck me!
Was it a vampire?
Could have been. Well, he would have looked young. That is terrifying, Laura. Thanks so much for sending that in. Love that.
Your family don't have a good record with haunted houses. That's the second one you've been haunted in.
I think there's a hex on you personally, and I think you should stay away from your family if you want.
You've probably done something really bad in your life, and this is what's going on.
Or past life,
Yeah.
if you're of an Eastern religion. I don't know. Mark Jago, love of my life.
Yeah.
Do you have a proverb? And if so, where is it from this week?
This proverb's from Romania, and when I read it, I couldn't stop laughing for it because it seemed like a drunk Romanian said it, and then everyone's like, "Oh, that's very deep." Okay,
Go on.
honey is the best policy.
Fuck
Oh,
off.
you got that sexy beast. You're just so sexy. Are you a Loch
You
Ness
start betting
monster?
these again.
Or are you
No.
Bigfoot,
Honey
cryptid,
is the
supernatural
best
vampires,
policy.
banshees, Tony and Jago? Oops,
Honey
there's
is the
that
best
Wendigo. Hey, coming
honey
after
on
me.
me.
Who just said, fuck said you could laugh at me, smack with me? With a Bigfoot dick you could slap with me? Blasphemy. You could dare come at me with a Bigfoot dick and a Loch Ness monster pussy? Bay sexy beast.
This has been a Head Stuff Podcast Network.
Happy Halloween.
This has been a production of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
Aww.